The Master Magician Hex has always been one of my favorite villains in the original Ben 10 series. And while he was surpassed in popularity by his niece Charmcaster, there's still a lot to talk about with Hex. He still ranks pretty highly on the list of Ben 10 villains. Things are going to get pretty complicated when we talk about his history though, as he and Charmcaster have been subject to retcons over time. To start things out, I'm actually going to read his description in the manual of the video game Ben 10 on Hyperscan from 2006. A magician of the dark arts, Hex is a shrouded, mysterious figure that wears 5 carved, mystical charms around his neck. These charms empower Hex with the abilities to conjure spells, levitate, control inanimate objects, and channel energy blasts through his fingertips. Hex also carries with him the Staff of Ages, which was also called the Staff of Power in a script for Ben 10 Ultimate Alien. Hex in the original series is voiced by Kari Payton, who does a fantastic job as the character. He is also Cyborg in Teen Titans, by the way. And later, Kari voices Manny Armstrong in Ben 10 Alien Force. Hex first appears in the episode Lucky Girl, where he goes after the Arcomeda Book of Spells. He brings with him the Charms of Bezel, which are basically magic infinity stones. Ben, of course, happens to be standing right next to the book, so of course they fight, and Hex loses one of his charms in the battle. Now, in order to use the book, Hex needs all 5 of the charms, and now that one of them is missing because plan has been foiled, and he needs to get it back. Gwen then starts using the charm and becomes Hex's rival. By the end of the episode, the charms are destroyed and Hex goes to prison. He is soon freed from his prison cell, however, by his niece Charmcaster in the follow-up episode Tough Luck. Together they go on a quest to recreate the Charms of Bezel, but are foiled once again by Ben and Gwen. At the end of this episode, their power is zapped away by the spell they were trying to cast. The next time we see Hex, he appears much older than he was before. It is implied in the episode that Hex actually lost his youth after his power was stolen in his previous appearance. And now he needs water from the Fountain of Youth in order to return to his younger self. None of this is a problem for Hex though, when we see him again in Alien Force. Hex also makes a cameo appearance in the Secret Saturdays TV show. He is listed as one of the associates of Phoebe Argost, alongside other Ben 10 villains Dr. Animo and Enoch. You can check out my Enoch video for more information on him. The back of the DVD for Ben 10 Season 1 calls Hex Hexlord, and he's never called Hexlord ever again. Now, we actually learned a lot more about Hex in the pop-up trivia for the original series. Unfortunately, a lot of these details and nuances of the character were retconned in the sequel shows. It's also worth noting that the pop-up trivia was written around the same time as the first season of Ben 10 Alien Force, so a little bit of Ben 10 Alien Force might have influenced what was written on these pop-ups. It is said that Hex's power comes from his charms that were created in the dimension of Bezel. Another pop-up states that the charms weren't really magic, but advanced Bezillian technology that seems magic on Earth. Kinda like Mjolnir in the first Thor movie. And it's said that the combined power of the charms allows Hex to alter reality, including making the book spells real. Now, controversially at the time, Ben 10 Alien Force was saying magic wasn't real either, explaining that Gwen's magic comes from her Anodite heritage. And this was kind of a result of the show wanting to focus more on aliens rather than all of the monsters and mystical stuff that was in the original series. And then we learn in Ultimate Alien that magic is a lot more complicated than we previously thought, and it's reinforced that magic is real within Ben 10 Omniverse, and not related to alien powers. It's also said that Hex's face paint is the same as that worn by the warriors of Bezel. well. And we even see the face paint wash off after he's turned into a child by the Fountain of Youth. But in Ben 10 Omniverse, Hex also says that he has a tattoo on his face, rather than face paint. Maybe in universe, Hex actually did get a tattoo to replace his face paint in the time skip to Alien Force. In the episode Time Heals, Gwen starts the episode by stealing the Arcomeda Book of Spells from Hex. She then uses the book to travel back in time to help out her boyfriend Kevin. This causes a butterfly effect where now Hex rules Bellwood like a king. And Gwendolyn travels back in time again to stop herself from changing the timeline in the first place. In Ultimate Alien, we learned that Hex and Charmcaster come from a place called Legerdomain, which is where all magic in the universe flows. Legerdomain is ruled by a giant turtle named Addwaitya. Hex's brother is named Spellbinder, and he sacrificed his life to get Hex and Charmcaster out of Legerdomain. Ben, Gwen, Kevin, and Charmcaster travel together to Legerdomain to stop the criminal Agrigor. The three heroes end up leaving Charmcaster behind, who continues the fight against Addwaitya. When we see Hex again, he believes that Charmcaster died in Legerdomain, but it turns out she survived and is thriving. In the next sequel series, Ben 10 Omniverse, Hex has now reformed. He has given up trying to conquer the world and is now a professor at Gwendolyn's college. However, Charmcaster returns and turns him into a totem and steals his Staff of Ages. Hex is trapped now inside of Charmcaster's bag of tricks, but is freed later by Gwendolyn and Ben, along with the wizard named Bezel, who apparently is the real creator of the Charms of Bezel. And that brings us to the end of Hex's story in the original Ben 10 universe. However, there is still a lot more to talk about with this Master Magician. Hex is a very prominent villain in the Ben 10 reboot. And I really like this new version of Hex, to be honest. This go-around, Hex is voiced by Robin Atkin-Downs, who played a few minor characters in previous Ben 10 iterations. He was also a recurring voice actor in Generator Rex, and he does a fantastic job as Manchester Black in the movie Superman vs. the Elite, which Man of Action member Joe Kelly wrote. Hex appears in a ton of episodes, so we're not going to go over all of them. In Ben 10 2016, Hex has a new backstory. In this show, he has an artifact called the Eye of Wotan, which has kept Hex alive for thousands of years, kind of like the Batman villain Al Ghul. In the future of this new universe, Gwendolyn has become the president, and Hex has become her military general. Hex is in a ton of Ben 10 video games, and we're going to list a bunch of them. He's in the very first Ben 10 home console video game from 2006 on the Hyperscan. He appears as a boss fight in Ben 10 Protector of Earth being controlled by Zs'Skayr. He appears in FusionFall as an ally of Gwendolyn working to stop Planet Fuse from destroying the world. He is the main villain of two different games, Ben 10 Alien Force, The Rise of Hex, and Ben 10 Power Trip. He's even in Minecraft. And he's the villain of a 4-page Ben 10 comic where he fights forearms. Even though he was overshadowed by Charmcaster, Hex has still impressively, consistently appeared in all 5 Ben 10 TV series. And so I'm sure he'll probably make another appearance very soon in the Dynamite Ben 10 comic next year. Let's hope. And remember, stay away from weird books that have time travel spells so you don't destroy the world.